From the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution, I'm Joel Norwood with your latest Ag News. A case of highly pathogenic avian influenza H5N1, which, don't let the name fool you, can go across species now, was confirmed in an Oregon farm this week. The Swine Health Information Center says it's the first H5N1 detection in a pig, and Executive Director Dr. Megan Niederwerder says it was a pig co-housed with poultry, sheep, and goats in a small backyard farm.
These animals were housed together. They had shared water sources, shared housing, and shared equipment. And the detection in one of the 5 pigs that lived on the operation occurred few days after the poultry were depopulated due to the detection of highly pathogenic avian influenza.
Important to note that the pig was non-clinical while living with infected birds.
These pigs were housed in very close proximity with these birds that were affected by H5N1 with a high mortality rate. So the mortality rate in the clinical disease was seen in the poultry, and then the pigs showed no clinical signs.
Now, anytime a virus detected in a new species for the first moment, Niederwerder says it's important to understand and look at its risk to commercial animals. In this case, that means reconsidering mixed species operations.
We can no longer think about the risk to pigs being through other swine farms or through feral swine. We have to think about that there are risks to our pig population through co-housing with birds or even with dairy cattle, or through operational connections of farms.
The National Pork Producers Council has also released a note confirming the safety of the food supply. They are emphasizing the Department of Agriculture's swine influenza surveillance program, which looks to detect viruses and protects the food system. Now, for some time, H5N1 has been spreading in dairy cattle, and USDA been trying to keep up with dairy testing. What's the right means to do that? And if tests are confirmed, what kind of control means to put in place to keep it from spreading? Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack says they're finding out some answers along that way for the dairy world.
When H5N1 first appeared on the scene, we indicated our approach was going to be similar to the approach we've taken with other animal diseases, which is that we respond and react as the situation evolves and changes. We've recently seen the introduction of H5N1 in California, and for a period of time we thought it was relatively contained in that state, but we've obviously seen recently a significant number of increases in the number of herds that have been impacted and affected, despite efforts on the part of California. We also, at the same time, we saw the state of Colorado institute a fairly aggressive testing regime, and the result of that testing regime allowed them to identify precisely where the virus was, to utilize a number of tools, including advanced biosecurity, and as a result, they are now virus-free. So we see that system of biosecurity, identifying where the virus is and trying to contain it, at least worked in the context of Colorado. At the same time, we're seeing, obviously, where we have a more intense concentration of dairy operations in California, we're continuing to see more and more herds being impacted.
Again, that's Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack. And once more, H5N1 found for the first time in pigs in the United States in a Washington backyard hog farm. For corn and soybean growers, the final October averages for crop insurance pricing have come in. December corn futures closed with an average of $4.16, while November soybeans averaged $10 per bushel. Those numbers coming from DTN's latest report. Those averages serve as the harvest price for many crop insurance policies, which use the higher of the spring or fall price to calculate potential indemnity payments. DTN lead analyst Rhett Montgomery says this year marks a return to more typical price patterns. Fall guarantees lower than those set in the spring. Spring prices had been projected at $4.66 for corn and $11.55 for soybeans. Montgomery says that this year's price drop much less drastic than last year. That means revenue protection policies might not kick in unless there's a yield loss. Stay tuned. Up next on the Ohio AgNet, closing market numbers.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. Number 1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Hi everyone, this is Dale Minio from the Ohio AgNet. For a quarter of a century, I powered my truck with biodiesel, traveling the state promoting agriculture. Biodiesel is a reliable, high-performance fuel that works in any diesel engine without modification. The best part is that with every mile driven, I'm fueling the economy, doing good for the environment, and supporting soybean farmers. Learn how using biodiesel can add value to every bushel of soybeans grown at soyohio.org.
Taking a look at market numbers after Friday's close in Chicago. New crop corn rounding out the week at $4.14.5. That's a 3 3/4 cent change on the day, upward. March 2025 corn up 3 1/4 to $4.29 1/4. New crop soybeans unchanged on the day to $9.82.5. Jan beans also staying pretty well put, down just 3/4 cent to $9.93 3/4. And next July wheat, $6.05 3/4 for the new crop, down 1 1/4 today. Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. Livestock seeing December cattle down 38 cents to $185.93 per hundredweight. December lean hogs 28 cents up to $84.08. And milk gaining about 25 cents today. This is the Ohio Ag Data.